Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Thank you for joining us. Merci d'être parmi nous aujourd'hui. My name is Kina Leclerc and I will be your moderator. Je m'appelle
Je
Kina
suis
Leclerc.
l'animatrice. Alors, je vais inviter chaque organisme à poser une question de suivi, comme d'habitude. Veuillez noter que je vais mentionner le nom suivant sur la liste. Si vous êtes sur Zoom, veuillez peser sur le bouton Unmute, comme d'habitude. Si vous êtes là en personne, un représentant de l'équipe des relations médias viendra vous voir avec le micro. Alors, on commence maintenant avec Kate ou Joanne de CBC Ottawa et ensuite à Alex Gouge.
It's very nice to be here after 2 years. Mayor Watson, I was going to ask you, it's been 2 years where you're in this room by yourself, I think possibly with Mathieu up in technology. What's it been like to have this first meeting back almost exactly 2 years since we went to virtual?
Well, it was a really good feeling coming in this room, and it was almost every seat was taken up because, as you know, as you pointed out, the last 2 years I've come in and it's been like the Maytag repairman a little bit, sort of lonely here with just a few staff. But we wanted to follow the health guidelines, and we're very pleased that Ottawa Public Health and the clerk have allowed us to come back in person. I think it makes a big difference in terms of interactions you saw before and after the council meeting with members of council and staff. And quite nice to see both Kathy Curry and Catherine Kitts, who in some instances had never even met many of the colleagues in person. So I thought, we're off to a good start, and I look forward to us continuing to meet here and obviously at some point allowing more of the public to come in as well. Thank you.
And as a follow-up, there's obviously a lot of attention and thoughts about the convoy that's so disruptive and upsetting in February, including 2 motions to ask the federal government to either petition them to come up with a completely new thing, possibly like Washington, D.C.'s, but there's also one from Mathieu Fleury to have some sort of a working group. So I'm just wondering what you prefer, what you would like to see happen, and also are these not slightly conflicting because you're asking the federal government to do 2 different things?
Yes, the overlying theme of both motions was that we need a much better coordinated approach to security, particularly in the downtown parliamentary precinct. And we've seen over the years improvements have been made, usually after a serious event that's taken place, whether it was the bus hijacking or the killer of Corporal Sorella going into the Hall of Honor. That always acts as a catalyst for us to review security. And I think we saw a need for better coordination of all police services during the convoy occupation of the downtown core. So I don't think they're at opposite ends, Joanne, in terms of the motions. I think they both are looking for ways on how we can better coordinate our responses to serious situations and do a much better job of intelligence gathering before something like another truck convoy comes back and takes over our city and does so much harm. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now go to Alex Gouge at City News, who is joining us virtually.
Hello, my question is for Mayor Watson. With more things such as council returning to in-person and the mask mandate dropping earlier this week, are you...
Sorry, Alex, we can't hear you very well. Could you speak up a little bit? It might be on our end.
Okay, this is as loud as I can get on my end, so I'll try and talk louder. Mayor Watson, with more people returning to in-person, including council and Ontario dropping its mask mandate, are you confident that the COVID situation in Ottawa will remain under control?
Well, I wish I could give that assurance, but as we've seen, for instance, our wastewater numbers are up, and we will see various fluctuations on various indicators over the course of the next couple of weeks. I think we've done a very good job in Ottawa. As you know, we have the highest percentage of adults vaccinated of any big city in Canada. That's something we should be very, very proud of, and great credit to our public health officials and the public who have heeded the advice that you get your first 2 shots and ideally you get your booster shot. So, no one can predict the future when it comes to COVID, unfortunately, and we may, down the road have to bring back different provisions to try to flatten the curve. But for the time being, the advice we've been given by OPH and the provincial government and our own city clerk is that we are able to meet in this environment, and we try to be as respectful as possible, wearing a mask whenever is possible. We still have these plexiglass sides on the desk as well. Nothing's perfect when it comes to fighting a global pandemic, but I think we've done a pretty good job, and we'll have to be vigilant so we don't fall back into that place where, you know, we have to go through lockdowns again. I think that would be the last thing anyone would even want to dream about because of the devastation it took, not only on businesses, but on people who lost their job and people who were confined to their house or apartment with very, very little interaction with other individuals in society. Thank you.
Thank you. That's my only question today.
Thank you, Alex. So we'll now go to Leah Larocque, followed by, suivi par Julien Paquette à la droite.
Hi, good morning. It's good to be here. My question is for Mr. Mayor.
Would you mind speaking up a little bit?
Sorry, can you hear me? Mr. Mayor, have you sent a letter to Mona Fautier asking for a timeline for return to work for public servants? And are you concerned about what this is going to mean for the downtown and LRT revenue?
Sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Have I sent a letter or have I received a reply?
Yeah, have you had any correspondence with Mona Fautier about a timeline return to work for public servants?
I can't recall getting a letter back, but I did host a breakfast of government caucus MPs, I believe last week, that Minister Fortier was at. I raised the issue with her and her colleagues. She understands because she has Montreal Road and the Byward Market and Rideau Street in her electoral district. So she understands the need to try to reasonably get people back to work. I understand that a lot of people don't want to come back to work. You know, they enjoy the experience. I think, you know, what we're going to try to do here at the city, and Steve Kay can talk to this in a moment, is a hybrid system where some people will be able to come in for a couple of days and others work from home. So it's not a question of trying to, you know, just force people to come downtown to support the local businesses, but it's in our collective best interest that we have a healthy downtown core. If we see, you know, every second or third shop that's shut down or going out of business, sales and so on, that doesn't help the economy of the overall city. So we'll start to see more and more people. The minister assured me that there'll be a phased-in approach of more and more people coming back over the course of the next several months. And we're doing the same here at the City of Ottawa. Ultimately, we'd like to see more people in the downtown core because it's good for the whole city. If you have too many challenges in one section of the city, it takes resources away, whether they're police resources or social service resources, as we see with the donut effect, for instance, in Detroit, where it's a very successful suburban community, but a hollowed out core. We don't want to go down that route. I don't know, Steve, did you want to just talk about our folks? No? Okay.
My follow-up question is just on the cost of the convoy. We had a number last week, $36 million. Is there any more details of who's going to be covering that, requests from other levels of government, or where that revenue is going to be coming from?
Yes, I've spoken to ministers at both the provincial and federal level, and they know full well that our request will be coming in formally in the next several weeks. We're waiting for all the bills to come in from different police agencies because we had, you know, a couple dozen different agencies from around the country that were here. So we have to make sure we have all of the costs, make sure they're solid and justifiable. This is not an opportunity for us to pad the numbers to get more money. It will just be for our actual costs out of pocket. And I think most people at the other two orders of government understand fully that this should not be borne by the property taxpayers of Ottawa. This was a protesting federal and provincial policies that took over our city. And at the end of the day, we're counting on those two orders of government to provide a full refund of those dollars. So, no, Steve, if you had anything else to add? No, Wendy. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much. Nous allons passer à Julien Paquette à le droit et ensuite
We will now go on to Julien Paquette from Le Droit. Hello, Mr. Mayor. I would like my first question to be about the pilot project on electric scooters. This was presented as being kind of like our last chance possibility. Do you think that things are like that for you? Do we still have any problems? If we still have problems with parking this summer, with the scooters, like we did last year, what is going to happen with that project? Thank you, Julien, for that question. It's the last time that this is last opportunity for companies to present to their projects for the electric scooters here at the City of Ottawa. It is their opportunity to improve the situation for the parking of the scooters, the speed of the scooters, make sure that they don't use sidewalks, etc. I think that is a good program, though. It is another way to get from one place to another for people who are riding in the downtown core. So that's the reason I support it. There are negotiations with the companies going on, and the companies know that this is their last opportunity to improve the situation. And if there are too many problems by next year, then we will probably be canceling the whole thing. Fine. My other question has to do, well, I'm following up on Joanne's question from a while ago on the motion of Laura Dudas on police services. How do you see this integration happening? Can you see that the RCMP might take a bigger control over the sector in both cities, or some kind of integrated police force for the whole NCC? Like, how do you see this happening? That's a really good question, Julien, but I unfortunately don't have a good answer for you. I supported both motions, and I've asked for a meeting with all government levels that are responsible for security and safety within the City of Ottawa. And as you know, it's pretty complicated. We've got the RCMP, we've got the OPP, we've got the military police, we've got the PPS on the SPP rather on the Hill, and Ottawa Services, and Gatineau on the other side police. So it's a little complicated, and that would be the reason why both motions mentioned that it is important for us to talk to each other, start a dialogue with all the people who are responsible for safety and security. And if we had another crisis, such as we had on Wellington Street, what would we be doing? So for me, I don't know what the best idea is to improve the situation, but I think it's important to start a conversation, especially following this crisis in the month of March. And I think this is why both councillors made these proposals in order to start this conversation. Thank you very much.
John Willing, and after we will go to Elizabeth Payne at the Ottawa Sun, who's joining us virtually.
Thank you, Akina. Hi, Mr. Mayor. I want to ask you about free fare transit, which is currently happening right now. And council, over the past months for various reasons, have brought in free fares on transit at various times, as I said, for various reasons. But do you think that the city could pursue more opportunities in the future to have free fares on transit for various times and various reasons? Is this just kind of opening the door to offering more opportunities for people to ride on transit for free?
Well, as you know, it's not free. It's no charge. It's a big difference.
Free fares, Mr. Mayor.
What's that?
The fares are free. Yes, the taxpayers I know are not, are still paying.
I disagree with you. It's a free fare because someone has to pay for the gas and the labor and the bus and so on. But the reality is we have a long-range financial plan that council has approved, and that requires us to meet certain targets in terms of revenue from the fare box versus the taxpayers. And as you know, taxpayers still pay roughly 50% of the operating costs and 100% of the capital costs of OC Transpo. So unless people can come up with a revenue stream to pay for it, you're looking at between a $500 and a $700 increase in your tax bill to provide no charge transit or free transit because it would have to be paid for by property taxes. And the estimate I received from Wendy is about $500 to $700 on the average home. And I think that's a decision that has to be made by politicians, and they have to be very upfront in this election. Are you supporting a 10 or 12% tax increase to provide free transit? If the public decide enough councillors, or they like that idea and enough councillors get elected on that mandate, then we'll have no charge transit. But everything we do around here comes with a price tag attached to it eventually and ultimately. And I think it's not being forthright if politicians go out and say, we're going to offer you free this and free that, without explaining the other side of the ledger. You got to pay for it somehow. And, the majority of people do not take transit in the City of Ottawa. We wish they did, but they don't. And we'd be asking our property taxpayers to pay even more than the 50% of the operating costs and 100% of the capital costs. So it's a very important debate to have, but I think politicians have to be upfront and honest and explain, if you're going to allow no fares, then you're going to have to explain how to pay for that service and be upfront with people and be honest with them. And if the majority of people say they're happy with a $500 or $700 tax bill increase to pay for free transit, then I suspect the council of the day will make that decision.
Thanks, Mayor. By way of follow-up, I don't know if this is for you or for Mr. Kanalakis, but this time of year, I think festivals and events are thinking about their plans for the summer and special event permits and festival permits. What's the city's thinking right now? Or is the city going to be approving special event permits for the upcoming season? Or are you doing it on an ad hoc basis? How are you approaching this?
Yes, hi, John. No, we're now, we're in lockstep with the province and the guidelines. So as it stands right now, we're processing the permits and we're planning for the summer, unless something dramatic changes in terms of the pandemic and there's some new variant or there's new public health guidelines. We're proceeding as business is open right now for festivals and fairs this summer. Our SEAT team, our special events team, is up and running, and the entire team is looking forward now to help festival organizers get up and running for this this summer based on the current health guidelines.
Thank you, John. We will now go to Elizabeth Payne joining us virtually, and then we'll go to, on va passer à Frédéric Pépin, Radio-Canada.
Hi, thanks. It's a question for Mayor Watson. Another question to do with COVID. The Ottawa Public Health has said that it's not their purview, it's a provincial purview to bring back mask mandates and so forth. Now that restrictions have been lifted, there is some debate about that legally, but are you concerned that there is not enough ability for local control to act quickly if needed? Ottawa seems to be ahead of much of the rest of the province in terms of rising wastewater levels and so forth. Is that a concern to you?
It is a concern because, in the past, there's been a one-size-fits-all approach, and that hasn't always worked well. I would have preferred if the province had maintained the mask mandate in schools as a starting point. That obviously is not the case. We have a little bit of a reprieve in the sense that we have a couple more weeks of a mask mandate on transit, which I agree with. And my advice is to use common sense. When I was... if I'm going to be on the train after the mandate is gone, I'm going to still wear a mask because you're in an enclosed area with a lot of people. So I think we have to take some personal responsibility. If we don't get the government to change its mind on masks for transit or for schools, we don't have the jurisdiction legally to overturn a provincial order. So we have to rely on people's goodwill, that it just makes common sense. If you're going to go into a crowded bus or a train, you should probably be wearing a mask, not only to protect yourself, but to protect others. Thank you.
And just to follow on that, so you also believe that Ottawa does not have the jurisdiction to take action on masks? And I am asking this just as an add-on. There are two major events this weekend for the first time with no masks, a Senators game and a Justin Bieber concert. So that's a double barrel question, but do you think Ottawa does not have the jurisdiction?
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's on from OPH, but certainly the last discussion I had with Vera was that we don't have the authority to override the provincial decision. And I don't know if someone from OPH is on, as Dr. Brent.
We can forward your request to OPH, Elizabeth.
Yeah, anyways, that just, Elizabeth, just to reiterate, that was the information I was given, I think about a week ago when I had my last briefing with Dr. Etches before she was on a well-deserved holiday. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. We'll now be going to Frédéric Pépin, Radio-Canada.
Parfait, monsieur.
Frédéric, oui, bonjour, Monsieur le Maire. Hey, hello, Mr. Mayor. My question is for you. After you gave Madame Zaxili her the plaque, and we talked to her briefly, Madame Lee told us that the smile that she showed you was a fake smile. And she talked about her disagreement and the fact that she was very disappointed in the way that the city had managed the demonstrations, the protests, and she's actually worried about future demonstrations and if the city's actually going to be ready. How do you react to what she said, Mr. Mayor? Well, certainly. When I spoke to her a few weeks ago to offer her the prize, she was very happy. She said it's a great honor for me. And certainly a lot of people do not approve of the three levels of government's actions, but it's an opportunity for me personally to say congratulations and thank you for all her good work as a defender of Centre Town and her all of her actions. I spoke to her and to offer her this prize, which she accepted, as you have seen. I'm very proud of what she has accomplished.
Could we have you in English on this from my friends at CBC, just about the fact that she's, that fake smile that she had today, saying that she's still dissatisfied?
That when I spoke with Ms. Lee a couple of weeks ago to offer her the mayor's committee builder, she was very touched and honored and accepted it, as you saw today, with good grace. And I know she and many others continue to be concerned about public safety in the Central Core. And that's one of the reasons why we continue to work with our new chief of police, our interim chief of police, and others to ensure that we regain the confidence of people like Ms. Lee and any other individual who continues to feel threatened as a result of the horrific experience they went through. Merci.
Monsieur le maire, si je peux me permettre une deuxième question en français. Est-ce que
A second question in French. Do you feel that the police services in the city, and in the context of discussions with the different levels of government, and we might be looking at the security issues again, do you think that we're ready to face another demonstration in Ottawa? Should we have one, let's say, by next week or something? Yeah, I think the situation's improved because we've already had the experience with the previous experience for 3 weeks. I'm very proud of the actions that the police services have undertaken, not just the Ottawa Police Services, but the OPP, municipal services, our CMP, etc. They did excellent work in order to clean up the situation in Centre Town. And like other mayors of other cities have told us, that we're kind of like the guinea pigs. It's the first time we've had this, and then it'll be Windsor and Toronto, and the other municipalities have all learned lessons after having seen what happened here. It took it took far too long to resolve the situation. But once the police decided to carry out their actions, I think things happened very professionally. Nobody died. There were no serious accidents. And they managed to rectify the situation in 2.5 days. There's always challenges for city residents because Wellington Street was closed between Bank Street and Elgin. it's still closed. And we have resolutions from Councillors Kenny and others who are asking if it's actually a good idea to close Wellington Street on a permanent basis. This is something that we're looking at. And we're looking at that with staff and the other security people involved on Parliament Hill.